Hello and welcome to our demo tour through OneData using a use case that is based on. Imagine John Kuhl, the Vice President of Operations of CareWorld, a globally operating pharma company. John gets a call from a European Health Ministry that orders 500,000 doses of influenza vaccine for the next expected flu wave 6 months in advance to start the already scheduled vaccination campaign in several countries. Now the customer calls John to guarantee a specific quantity of products at a specific time. John has to make sure that the products are being produced in the correct amounts that he can guarantee to the ministry. CareWorld is set up with different co-suppliers or companies that can be seen on this slide. So CareWorld operates with subcontractors like Euroglass or internal other companies like Medical Technique or Rexam Pharma. All the different plants and companies use different ERP systems that deliver data in different formats and in different structures. For the case of John, there has to be a connection, a combination of the different systems in order to get a combined, harmonized stock of raw materials that he will use to produce the amount of vaccines necessary. In addition, there is a recently acquired new factory, CareWorld M&A, that uses an other system, a completely new system, the Infor ERP. And with that, I will jump right into the tool. Here you can see the data landscape of CareWorld. Each island is a different company or subcontractor of CareWorld. And on the lowest level, each hexagon represents a data asset from the systems of the CareWorld environment. What is missing here is the recently acquired M&A system or M&A CareWorld that will also be used for analysis in order to deliver the 500,000 vaccines and get insights from that. So as a first step in the analysis, we need to ingest new data into the landscape in order to make it used and being used for our analysis. After we have ingested the data, we can use it for our analysis, combining it to our overall stock and overall stock values to get the results out of it. To ingest data into the landscape, I will switch to the administration tab and to the ingestion plans, where I can see that there are already existing ingestion plans for different systems that CareWorld uses that we already saw in the map beforehand. There is also an ingestion plan for our Infor system already set up by our DevOps that I can now reuse in order to ingest new data into the system. If I click on details, I see the ingestion plan details for that. There is an existing connection of an MS SQL server with a selected schema that we want to ingest. And we want to ingest different types of data into our landscape. First of all, we want to ingest metadata, being metadata from the MS SQL system. This will give us metadata to be discovered and to identify parts of the data for our analysis. In addition, we will extract samples from the data assets out of our system to ease up analysis in the first steps. And we will do pattern matching, pre-processing, and other pre-processing steps in order to get additional discovery options and also identifying, for example, GDPR relevant data in our system. After pressing execute plan, the ingestion will happen. And as this will take up to several minutes in our case, I already prepared the picture after the ingestion happened that now has the Infor M&A system as an additional island in our data landscape of CareWorld. So with this ingestion, we can now use the data and the content of our CareWorld, of our Infor system for our use case. In order to discover, to identify relevant data assets that I want to use in my analysis, I can use the drill down option into our data. With a click on system, I can see the original systems the data is about, a lot of SAP systems, but also Microsoft Dynamics, Oracle JDF AdWords, or in our recently acquired system, the Infor. With a click on domain, you can see the data domains the data originally is from. These being in our business value chain, from purchasing, from production, from material management, and also some for sales and distribution. On the lowest level, each hexagon is a data asset in the respective systems that I can use for my analysis. This options and visibility supports me in identifying data and in the discoverability of data overall. As a next step in our analysis, I want to identify, I want to discover the data assets for inventory that I want to combine out of the Infor system. So I will use the built-in search functionality, and I will type in a keyword in this inventory, and the search results or discovered data assets that are relevant for that. In this case, out of information from the metadata of the respective tables. So we can see in our Infor island, there is one data asset left over or found, discovered. That would be the inventory Infor that we now found via this keyword. In other cases where the search might not be as easy or as quickly to solve, there are additional options to discover data. This can be via pattern recognitions and matching, for example, identifying specific IDs or structure of IDs of data, and can go up to using semantic information inside the data for tagging or other purposes to quickly discover and find data that we will need to use in our use case. However, we identified our data asset on the right side, and at the first step, I will do a quick inspection of the data with a click on Show Data Tables. I can see which is what data is in. So in here we see we have a material identifier with a respective description. We have a supplier ID and a supplier name. And most importantly, we have a quantity of the material that is currently on stock. This helps me to quickly identify if I found the correct data, and also speeds up first inspections of data quality or completeness of data in this regard for me. So the first step is done. I identified the data asset in our Infor system containing the inventory information. And I can now use this data asset to connect it to our already existing stock. And the already existing stock is a second hexagon of the CareWorld. It's the inventory of CareWorld, which has a combined stock of all the subcontractors and all the plants of CareWorld, but not of the recently acquired M&A system. So my next step, my next analysis steps are the connection of these two, the harmonization of these two assets and the combination of the inventory in the info system to our overall inventory levels. This is a two-step approach. At first, we need to identify on which columns a combination or a harmonization can happen. And in the second step, we need to connect these two assets on a line item level using additional information in the lines in the data content itself. As a first step, I want to identify which columns can be used for the connection of the inventories. And with a multi-select click onto the inventory of CareWorld, I can see that there are already edges flowing in and out of the inventory of CareWorld. So there is already harmonization of inventories for other plants happening that is existing here. So I want to set up a new edge, a new harmonization step for my inventory levels. I will use the column linkage feature that is built in, that with the click on it shows me on a column level which columns happen to be the same or similar and can be used to set up a link between the two assets. So in the result, I see that I have 5 linked pairs, and I have identified links between the quantity or quantity in stock, the material description, identifier, the supplier, and the supplier name. With a click on Save, I will now set up a column linkage between these two. And our first step, identifying which columns can be used to connect the data assets, is fulfilled. So in the second step, I now need to build up the connection between these two data assets based on the line items and based on the content of the data. For that, I will use a record linkage approach. In our case, on the description field, so the material description of the data assets, and I will use a Liebenstein distance as I expect misspellings or different spellings in the names and the material descriptions in the different systems. This can be extended by other algorithms that use distances or extended versions of it in order to connect to data assets based on their content. With a click on Create Linkage, I will now create a reusable link between these two assets, and click on the validation part. I can see the results of my link that matched in total, or tried to match 15 records and matched 9, where in the first line we see an example of this material descriptions not happen to be exactly the same as this material description. So our algorithm automatically identified these two happen to be the same. After setting up this link, this consistent link, after each ingestion of new data, this will run automatically. So I set up this link one time to be reused by other use cases, to be reused after new ingestion goes in, and to be reused by other analysis or other parts. This is solving my original dilemma that corresponding information is stored in different systems in different formats and is not brought together on the way, but I need to bring it together. I need to have a harmonized inventory in order to answer the question whether the production capacity is fulfilling the request of 500,000 vaccines. After having set up that link, this is maintained, or these links can be established and maintained for the lifespan of the data product that I am creating. can be easily traced to end state data products to help data experts like me easily trace back to source and identify any issues and problems if they arise. In addition, before having a data product created right here, the quality of the data has to meet specific systems. In our tool, we can build quality checks based on a manual, a semi-automated, or a completely automated way, where in our case, we want to use the semi-automated way in order to quickly bring in quality checks or create new quality checks onto the data assets. So I will add a quality check onto the data. In here, clicking on Create Quality Checks, I will select the quantity column, and I will create a check rule for the quantity in stock not being negative. And with a press on Create, a established quality check is created that is scheduled after data updates and that ensures that the quantity in stock cannot be negative. This ensures my data product that it is always ready to use and reliable. And I can set up automated alerts or notifications for data owners or data stewards to quickly get information on quality checks passing or not passing in this regard. With this, now I ingested new data into our data landscape. We identified the inventory data asset that we want to create, that we want to combine with our already existing inventory of CareWorld in order to get an overall picture of the materials that are in stock. We set up a link between these two assets in order to have the harmonization happening. And we created quality checks in order to have this always reliable and being used in production. With this, we can now publish our created data product to the data product marketplace in order to have it being used in our overall use case. This happens with a click on Publish of the data product. And I will jump to the data product marketplace, where I can see already published data products from different domains. For example, from production, from purchasing, from the production IT, for supply chain management. And with a drill down, I can see that on the right, I have the final target-aligned data product, flu vaccination production capacity in this that is combined or calculated out of other data products, being also our inventory that we just connected and added an additional edge into it. You can see that my data flows from the left to the right and in the end into my flu vaccination data product. I can now inspect this resulting data product inside the tool, where I can see the production capacity. I can publish or deploy this data product to Tableau, to Power BI, or to other tools, or I can deploy it to data warehouses like Snowflake, or even just download it for an ad hoc analysis into Excel. Overall, in this new workflow, data products can be easily used by the organization. The data products are updated automatically to ensure their quality and usable across different analytics or data science tools. And when data reduces the cycles that are spent on building and the repetitive work that is no more needed to happen in the creation of data products. Thank you for your attention and goodbye.